Hey everyone, and welcome back to Easy English, the place where you learn English the smart and easy way. I'm so happy you're here today. English is an amazing language, right? It opens up so many doors. It helps you connect with people from all over the world, understand different cultures, maybe get a better job or travel more easily. It's like a key to unlock new possibilities. You've been learning English maybe for some time now. You listen to podcasts or music in English and you understand a lot of it. You read articles or books and you can follow the story. When someone speaks slowly and clearly, you get the meaning. That's great. It shows you have a strong base. But then you try to speak. And suddenly it feels like your mouth doesn't want to work. The words you know just disappear. You feel nervous. You worry about making mistakes. Maybe you try to form a sentence, but it comes out messy, or you just stop. You think, I understand English, but I just can't speak it. Does this sound familiar? Do you feel this way often? Like there's a wall between your brain and your mouth. Many learners feel exactly like this. It's a very common problem, and it can be incredibly frustrating, right? You put in the effort to understand, but you can't use English actively when you need to. Maybe you miss chances to talk to native speakers, or you feel shy in English classes. You might even start to think there's something wrong with you. But what if I told you that feeling is completely normal? And it's not because you are bad at English or not smart enough or lazy. Not at all. It's a different kind of skill. Understanding is one thing, and speaking is another. And often, the way we learn doesn't give us enough practice with the speaking part. Think about it. You might spend hours listening or reading, but how many hours do you spend actually speaking English out loud? Maybe not many. So in this video, right here, right now, we're going to dive deep into why this happens. We'll look at the reasons behind that understand but can't speak feeling. But most importantly, we are going to give you some super practical, easy, and smart ways to start breaking down that wall. We'll talk about simple techniques you can use right away to feel more confident and start speaking English more freely. So, don't go anywhere. Keep watching this video. If you've ever felt stuck when trying to speak English, this episode is specifically for you. My biggest hope is that after you finish watching this, you will feel less alone in this struggle, you'll understand the real reasons why speaking feels hard sometimes, and you will have a clear roadmap, simple, actionable steps to start practicing your speaking and finally feel more confident when it's your turn to talk. Let's learn English the smart and easy way together. Stick around.
Chapter 1. You understand, but speaking is hard? Let me ask you something. Do you understand English perfectly when you listen or read, but when it's time to speak, the words just don't come out easily? If you feel this way, please know you are definitely not alone. This is one of the most common feelings for people learning English, especially around the B1 level. Many students around the world experience this exact thing. You might feel like, okay, I can watch a movie, I can listen to a podcast, I can read an article, and I understand maybe 80%, 90%, maybe even 100% of the words and ideas. It feels good. You think, yes, my English is improving. I understand. But then, when you need to say something yourself, maybe answer a question, talk about your day, or join a conversation, suddenly it feels much harder. It's like your English understanding is in one place, quite high, but your speaking skill feels stuck lower down. So why is this? Why is understanding so much easier than speaking for many people? Well, think about understanding English. When you read or listen, your brain is working to receive information. It's processing sounds, words, grammar rules, but you don't have to create any of it yourself. Your brain takes the English words you hear or see and matches them to the meaning they represent. It's like recognizing something you already know. You see the word book or hear the sound book, and your brain connects it to the idea of a book. This process is mostly about recognition and comprehension. It uses the passive knowledge you have stored in your brain. Speaking is very different. When you speak, your brain has to do much more work, and it has to do it very fast. You need to think about what you want to say, your idea, your thought. Then you need to find the right English words from your memory to express that idea. Next, you need to put those words in the correct order using English grammar rules. For example, if you want to talk about yesterday, you need to remember to use past tense verbs. You know the rule when you read it, but using it automatically when you speak requires practice. You also need to say the words correctly with the right pronunciation. All of this needs to happen in real time, almost instantly, especially in a conversation where people are waiting for your answer. There's pressure. It's not just about finding words and grammar. There's also the physical part of speaking, moving your mouth, tongue, and lips to make sounds that might be new or difficult for you. And there's the planning part, quickly organizing your thoughts into sentences that make sense to another person. Sometimes you have the vocabulary and the grammar rule in your head, but bringing them together quickly and automatically just takes time and repetition. It's like knowing the recipe for a cake, understanding, versus actually baking the cake yourself under time pressure. The second one is much harder initially. Another big reason is often psychological. When you listen or read, it's a private activity. If you don't understand a word or a sentence, nobody knows. You can reread it or listen again, or just continue and try to get the general meaning. But speaking is public. People are listening to you, and many learners worry a lot about making mistakes. This fear can make you hesitate. It can make your brain feel slower because you are thinking too much about being perfect. You might have the words somewhere in your head, but the fear or the worry about grammar stops you from using them. You might even try to translate exactly from your first language, which takes extra time and often results in sentences that don't sound natural in English. So feeling like you understand but can't speak easily is totally normal and understandable. It means you have built a good foundation with your listening and reading. Your brain is good at receiving English. Speaking just uses a different part of your language ability, the active part, which needs different kinds of practice than listening or reading. It's a common step in the journey, not a sign that you are not learning. You are learning. You just need to activate that knowledge for speaking. Chapter 2. Why Can't I Speak? Have you ever felt like you understand English perfectly when you read or listen, but when it's time to speak, the words just don't come out? You're not alone. It's a very common problem for many English learners, and there are a few key reasons why this happens. One big reason is often shyness. Maybe you feel nervous when you think about talking in English, especially with other people. You worry about what they will think if you don't say things perfectly. This feeling can make you quiet, even if you know the right words in your head. It's like your brain freezes because you feel shy or anxious about the situation. Another common reason is the fear of making mistakes. You think, what if I say something wrong? What if people don't understand me? This fear can stop you before you even try. For example, maybe you know the words for a sentence, but you're not sure about the grammar, like if you should use go, goes, or went. So instead of trying and maybe making a small mistake, you decide it's safer to say nothing. You might worry about your pronunciation too. You understand native speakers, but you feel your own English accent isn't good enough, and that makes you afraid to speak. And a very important point is practice, or sometimes the lack of it. You can understand English very well because you read a lot, listen to music, or watch movies and videos like this one. Your brain understands the input, the meaning of the words and sentences you hear and see. But speaking is different. It's an active skill. It's like learning to swim. Reading a book about swimming is helpful, but you have to actually get in the water and move your arms and legs. Your mouth, your tongue, your brain need practice making the sounds and forming the sentences quickly and easily. If you don't use these speaking muscles regularly, they don't get strong, and it feels difficult when you try to speak. So, even if you know the words and grammar in your head, putting them together fast when you need to communicate requires active practice. Sometimes these reasons work together. If you're shy, you might avoid speaking practice, which then makes the fear of mistakes even bigger because you don't feel confident. Understanding is passive. Speaking is active. To improve speaking, you need to do more speaking, even if it feels difficult at first. Chapter 3. It's a normal step in learning. Have you ever felt like you understand almost everything when you read English or listen to someone speak, but when it's your turn to talk, the words just don't come out easily? Or maybe you can say a little, but it feels slow, difficult, and not like the fluent English you understand? If you feel this way, you are absolutely not alone. So many English learners experience exactly this feeling. It can be really frustrating, right? You might think, why can I understand movies and songs, but I can't have a simple conversation? You might even worry that you are not a good learner, that something is wrong with you or your learning process. But please stop thinking that. This problem, this feeling of understanding but not speaking well, is a very, very normal step in learning a language. It does not mean you are not a good learner. In fact, it shows that you are a good learner and you are making great progress. Think about it this way. Understanding a language is like building the strong base, the foundation of a house. You need that strong base before you can build the walls and the roof and put the furniture inside. If you don't have a good understanding of words, grammar, and how sentences work, you can't possibly use them correctly when you speak. You are doing the most important first step by understanding. You are receiving the language, letting it come into your brain. This is called input. Reading and listening are input activities. When you do these things, your brain is collecting information, seeing how sentences are formed, hearing how words sound, learning vocabulary. This takes time, and your brain is working hard even if you don't feel like you are learning in an active way. Speaking, on the other hand, is an output activity. It's taking all that information that came in, all the words, all the grammar rules, all the sentence structures, and sending it back out, from your brain through your mouth. This is much more difficult because your brain has to work much faster. When you listen or read, you have a little more time to process the information. Your brain can think, okay, I heard that word before. I think it means, or this sentence structure seems familiar. But when you speak, you need to find the right words immediately. Remember the correct grammar at the same time, think about pronunciation, and put it all together into a clear sentence instantly. It's like your brain is a computer, and understanding is like just opening files. It's relatively easy. Speaking is like creating a new file, writing the text, checking the spelling and grammar, and saving it, all in seconds, under pressure. That's a much bigger task. Let's use an example. Think about learning to play a sport, like football or basketball. When you first start, you probably watch many games, right? You watch professional players, you see how they move, you understand the rules, you know what a goal is, you know how points are scored. You understand the game very well just by watching. This is like understanding English. You receive the information, you know how it works. But can you immediately play like a professional just because you understand the rules? No, of course not. To play the sport well, you need practice. You need to train your body to move correctly, to pass the ball, to shoot, to work with your teammates. You need to do it yourself many times, and it will feel difficult and slow at first. You will make mistakes. You won't be as fast or good as the players you watched. Speaking English is the same. You understand the rules, you understand the words, but actually doing it, speaking, requires practice. It requires your brain to train, to get faster at finding the words and putting them together, just like your body needs to train to play a sport. So, if you can understand English well, you have already done a fantastic job. You have built that essential foundation. You have watched the game and you understand how it works. This is not a small thing. It is a huge achievement in language learning. You have already filled your brain with so much of the language. The difficulty you feel with speaking is just the next part of the process. It's the stage where you start using that foundation, where you start trying to play the game yourself. It's okay if it feels hard and slow right now. That is exactly what happens when you are moving from understanding to producing the language. It doesn't mean you are bad at learning. It means you are exactly where many learners are at this stage. You are trying to build the walls and put on the roof after building a great foundation. It requires different skills and it requires practice. So, instead of feeling bad that you can't speak fluently yet, feel proud that you understand so much. That understanding is proof that you are learning, and it is the best preparation you can have for improving your speaking. Chapter 4. The Secret. Speak. Do you understand English very well when you read or listen, but find it difficult or scary to actually speak? Many English learners feel this way. You can watch movies without subtitles, you can read books or articles, and you understand most words and sentences. You know the grammar rules. Your brain understands. But when you open your mouth to talk, nothing comes out easily, or you speak very slowly and feel shy. Listening and reading are like putting information into your brain. They are super important. They help you learn new words, understand grammar and context, and hear how English sounds. You need this input to understand English in the first place. Think of it like learning about a sport. You can read books about how to play football or watch games on TV. You learn the rules, the player names, the strategies. This is like reading and listening. But here is the secret from this chapter. To get better at playing football, you must actually go onto the field and play. You need to run, pass, kick the ball. It's the same with speaking English. To get better at speaking, you must actually speak. Speaking is the output. It uses different skills from listening and reading. Your brain needs to quickly find the right words, build a sentence with the correct grammar, think about pronunciation, and do it all in real time. This is a very different skill than just understanding what you hear or read. So, the secret is not really a secret, is it? It's simply this. Speaking needs speaking practice. It sounds simple, but it's the part many people avoid. Maybe you avoid it because you are afraid of making mistakes. You might think, my English isn't perfect yet. I will wait until I know more. But waiting will not help you speak. Making mistakes is a normal and necessary part of learning. Every single person who speaks English fluently today made many mistakes when they were learning. Mistakes show you what you need to work on. You don't need to find a perfect conversation partner immediately or give a presentation in front of many people. You can start small. One good way to start speaking practice is to talk to yourself. Yes, really. You can do this in your head, or even better, out loud. Describe things around you in English. Talk about your plans for the day, or what you did yesterday. You can stand in front of a mirror and talk to your reflection. This helps you hear your own voice and see your mouth movements. You can even record your voice on your phone and listen back. It might feel strange at first, but it's excellent practice. If you can, try to find someone to speak with. It could be a friend who is also learning, or you could look for a language partner online. There are many apps and websites where you can find people who want to practice English. Try to speak for a few minutes every day, even about simple things. Talk about your hobbies, your family, the weather, a movie you watched. The important thing is to use your voice and form those English sentences. Remember, when you start speaking, don't worry too much about being perfect. Focus on getting your message across. It's better to speak simply and make a few mistakes than to worry so much that you don't speak at all. Your goal at the beginning is to become comfortable using the English you know. Fluency comes with practice. The more you use English for speaking, the easier and faster your brain will become at finding the words and building sentences. Your pronunciation will get better naturally as you speak and listen to others. So, while listening and reading are fundamental pillars of learning English, like understanding the theory, speaking is the practical part. It's like going to the gym for your English muscles. This chapter, The Secret, Speak, is a powerful reminder that the key to unlocking your ability to speak English fluently is straightforward. You have to speak. Make a plan to include speaking practice in your English learning routine, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. It is the most direct way to improve. Chapter 5. Easy Ways to Start Practicing. Is your brain full of English words, but your mouth feels shy when you try to speak? You understand what you read, you follow conversations, maybe you can even write quite well. But when it comes to actually producing English sounds, forming sentences quickly, and having a fluid conversation, it feels difficult or impossible. You're definitely not alone in this feeling. It's a very common challenge for many English learners. You have built a strong foundation of understanding, which is fantastic. Now, the next step is to activate that knowledge and turn it into spoken language. Many people think they need a conversation partner or a special formal speaking class to start practicing. And while those things can be very helpful later on, you can absolutely start practicing speaking English today, right now, by yourself, with simple, easy methods. This chapter is all about giving you some simple, practical ideas to help you take that first step and begin using your English actively. We want to show you easy ways to start speaking without pressure, without needing anyone else, and without needing special tools. The goal is to get your mouth and your brain used to producing English sounds and forming basic sentences regularly. Consistency, even for a few minutes a day, is much more powerful than practicing for a long time only sometimes. So, let's look at some incredibly easy ways to start practicing speaking English today. The first simple idea is something you can do anywhere, anytime, when you are alone. Speak to yourself. Yes, talk to yourself in English. Maybe it feels a little strange at first, but it's an extremely effective way to practice. Why? Because there is absolutely no pressure. There's no one listening to you, no one to judge your mistakes, no one to make you feel nervous. You are completely free to try, to make mistakes, to correct yourself, and to experiment with words and sentences. You can speak as slowly as you need to. You can pause for as long as you want. This private practice space is perfect for building confidence. What can you talk about when you are speaking to yourself? Anything that comes into your head. Describe what you are doing at that exact moment. For example, if you are making tea, you can say aloud, "Okay, I need a cup. I'll take this blue cup. Now I need a tea bag. Where are the tea bags? Ah, here they are. I'll put one tea bag in the cup. Now I need hot water. The kettle is boiling. I will pour the hot water into the cup." Simple sentences describing simple actions. You can also describe things around you. Look around the room and say what you see. That is a window. The sky outside is gray. I see a chair and a table. There is a book on the table. The wall is white. Another idea is to talk about your plans for the day or the near future. This morning, I will go to the shop. This afternoon, I want to read my book. Tonight, I plan to cook dinner. Or talk about your thoughts. Oh, I forgot to buy milk. I must remember to buy milk later. What should I wear today? Maybe the blue shirt. Speaking to yourself helps you in several ways. It forces you to take words from your passive vocabulary, words you understand when you hear or read them, and try to use them actively. It gets your mouth and tongue moving in the ways necessary for English sounds. It helps you practice forming full sentences, not just individual words. And, perhaps most importantly, it helps you identify the words or phrases you don't know how to say, even if you know their meaning. You might think, how do I say that thing for cleaning the floor? And then you know you need to learn the word mop or vacuum cleaner. Try to make this a habit. Even just 5 minutes a day while you are doing a simple task can make a big difference. Don't worry about perfection. Just make sounds and form sentences. The second easy way to start practicing speaking is by reading English texts aloud. This is different from speaking to yourself because the sentences and vocabulary are already provided for you, which can be very helpful. When you read aloud, you are actively producing English sounds, working on pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation. You are using grammatically correct sentences, so you can focus purely on how the words sound and how they connect together. What kind of texts should you read aloud? Anything you find interesting, and that is at a suitable level for you. You could read a chapter from a book you are enjoying, an article from an English news website, a blog post, the script from a short video, or even the instructions on a product package. Choose something you understand well when you read it silently. When you read aloud, try not to rush. Start slowly and focus on pronouncing each word clearly. Pay attention to punctuation marks, like commas and periods. They tell you when to pause, which is important for natural-sounding English. Try to vary your voice a little, making it go up and down where appropriate, like a native speaker would, rather than reading in a flat, robotic.
Chapter 6. Find someone to talk with. Have you ever felt like you understand English perfectly when you read or listen, but when it's time to open your mouth, the words just disappear? It's a common feeling, right? Understanding is one thing, but speaking is different. It's like you have all the ingredients for a cake, but you don't know how to mix them, or you're too nervous to try. Speaking needs practice, just like any skill, and it uses a different part of your brain than listening or reading. When you speak, you have to think quickly, choose words, put them in the right order, and pronounce them so someone else can understand you. This is why just understanding isn't enough to become a confident speaker. You need to actively produce the language. And guess what? The best way to practice speaking is, well, by speaking. But not just to yourself in the mirror, which can feel a bit strange after a while. It helps a lot to speak with another person. Talking with someone is amazing because they listen, they can understand you, even with mistakes, and they can respond to you. It's real communication, and that makes the learning process much more dynamic and useful than simply repeating sentences from a book or app. When you talk to someone, you learn to think faster in English. You get immediate feedback if something isn't clear, and you start to build confidence because you see that you can communicate your ideas. It makes English feel alive, not just something you study. Okay, so who can you talk with? You have a few great options, and you don't need to spend a lot of money, or any money at all sometimes. First, maybe you have a friend who is also learning English, or maybe even a friend who speaks English well. Talking with a friend can feel very comfortable and relaxed. You already know them, so it's less pressure. You can talk about things you both like, and you can make mistakes and laugh about them together. This can be a fantastic way to start practicing in a safe space. If you don't have a friend nearby, or they don't have time, don't worry. The internet is your friend here. You can find a language partner online. There are many websites and apps specifically designed for this. The idea is simple. You find someone who wants to learn your language, and in return, they help you practice English. You can schedule calls using video chat tools, and often you spend half the time speaking their language and half the time speaking English. This is really popular, and you can often find someone who likes the same things as you, like movies, music, or sports, so you always have something interesting to talk about. This makes practicing feel like fun, not work. You can find partners from different countries, which can also teach you about different cultures. Another excellent idea is to join a small group. This could be a local English conversation group in your town or city, or maybe an online group class or conversation club. In a group, you don't always have to be the only one speaking. You can listen to others, hear different accents, learn new words and phrases from other students or the teacher, and slowly start talking more when you feel ready and have something to say. Group discussions can introduce you to many new topics and perspectives. It can also feel less intense than a one-on-one conversation for some people, especially at the beginning. Let's think of an example of how talking helps. Imagine you connect with an online language partner, maybe through a website. You decide to talk for 20 minutes every week. In your first call, you might feel nervous, but you talk about simple things like your day or your hobbies. You might say something like, "Yesterday I go to the park with my dog." Your partner, who is maybe a native speaker or just more advanced, might gently say, "Oh, you mean I went to the park." And just like that, in a natural conversation, you learn the correct past tense verb went. It's much easier to remember this correction because it happened in a real conversation about your life, not just from reading a rule in a book. Or maybe you are trying to describe something and you don't know the word. Your partner can help you find it, or you can describe it using other words you know, which is great practice for explaining things when you don't have the exact vocabulary. This kind of active exchange is incredibly powerful for learning. The most important thing is just to start. Don't wait until you think your English is perfect, because that day might never come without practice. It's okay to make mistakes. Everyone does. Mistakes are a natural part of learning, like falling down when you learn to ride a bike. They show you where you need to improve. Finding someone to talk with, whether it's a friend, an online partner, or a group, is not just about learning grammar or new words. It's about becoming more comfortable, more confident, and making English a living, breathing part of your life. It's about connecting with people and sharing ideas. So, look around, look online, find that person or group, and just start speaking. Even a few minutes a day or week can make a huge difference in moving from understanding English to actually being able to speak it. You can do it. Just take that first step to find someone to talk with.
Chapter 7. Don't fear mistakes. Have you ever felt a bit nervous when you try to speak English? Maybe you understand a lot when you read or listen, but when it's your turn to talk, your mind feels blank, or you worry too much about saying things perfectly. If that sounds like you, you're definitely not alone. One of the biggest things that stops many English learners from speaking is the fear of making mistakes. Think about it for a second. When you were learning your first language, did you say everything perfectly from the very beginning? Of course not. You probably made lots of funny little mistakes with words or grammar, and that was completely normal. Your parents or friends probably understood what you meant, and they helped you learn the right way, perhaps without even realizing they were teaching you. Learning a new language is very similar. It's a process, a journey, and making mistakes is a totally natural part of that journey. In fact, mistakes are not just okay, they are actually helpful. Let's think about why mistakes are helpful. Imagine you try to say something and you use the wrong word or the wrong tense of a verb. Maybe the person you're talking to looks a little confused, or perhaps they gently correct you. What happens then? You probably remember that moment. You remember the word or the grammar point you struggled with. This experience helps you learn and remember the correct way for the future. It's like a little signpost on your learning path, showing you where you need to focus next. If you never try to speak because you're afraid of making a mistake, you won't know what you don't know. You won't get that valuable feedback that helps you improve. Another important thing to remember is that people who are listening to you speak English are usually much more interested in understanding your message than in judging your grammar or pronunciation. When you're having a conversation, the main goal is communication, right? You want to share an idea, ask a question, or tell a story. Most people are very patient and happy to help you communicate. They can often understand what you mean even if you make a small error. For example, imagine you want to say, "Yesterday I went to the park," but instead you say, "Yesterday I go to the park." A native speaker, or even another English speaker, will almost certainly understand that you are talking about the past, and you went to the park. The small mistake with the verb tense doesn't usually stop them from understanding your main point. Maybe they notice the mistake, maybe they don't, but their focus is on the information you are giving them. Worrying too much about being perfect can really slow down your progress. When you're speaking, you don't have time to think about every single word and every single grammar rule. You need to be able to just speak and let the words come out. The more you practice speaking, even with mistakes, the more comfortable and fluent you will become. Your brain will start to automatically use the correct structures without you having to think so hard about them. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. You fall down a few times, right? Those falls are like mistakes. They show you what not to do, and eventually, with practice, you learn to balance and ride smoothly without thinking about every pedal stroke. So, how can you start to be less afraid? First, accept that mistakes will happen. It's part of the process for everyone learning a language. Second, try to focus on getting your message across, not on being perfect.
Your listeners will appreciate your effort to communicate. Third, remember that making mistakes is actually a sign that you are brave. You are trying. It takes courage to speak in a language you are still learning, and every time you open your mouth, you are being brave and giving yourself an opportunity to learn. Don't let the fear of falling stop you from riding the bicycle. Just speak. Start small. Speak to yourself. Speak to a language partner. Speak in a class. Every word you speak is practice, and every mistake is a step towards speaking more fluently and confidently. People will understand you, and if they don't, that's an opportunity for you to try explaining in a different way, which is also great practice. So please, don't fear mistakes. Embrace them. They are your friends on the path to speaking English fluently.
Chapter 8. Start small, practice every day. Do you ever feel like you understand English when you read or listen, but when it's time to open your mouth and speak, the words just don't come out easily? You're not alone. Many learners feel this way. It's like you have all the ingredients for a meal, but you don't know how to cook them. But don't worry, this feeling is very normal, and the good news is there's a simple way to start changing it. So where do we begin to change that? This chapter is all about a simple but powerful idea. Start small. What does start small mean for speaking English? It means you don't have to try to have long, perfect conversations from day one. Forget about difficult topics or giving a presentation in front of people right away. That can feel too big, too scary. Instead, begin with the basics. Maybe just a few words, or a very simple sentence. Think about things you already know how to say, even the most basic greetings or simple descriptions. For example, starting small could be just saying hello or thank you more often in situations where you can use English. It could be looking at an object in your room and saying its name in English. Maybe adding one simple adjective, like blue book or big chair. It could be saying to yourself, today is sunny, or I am drinking water. These seem like very small things, right? And they are. That's the point. You are starting with simple words and very short talks. This removes the pressure of needing to be perfect or say complex things. The second important part of this strategy is practice every day. This is maybe the most crucial part. Why every day? Because practicing a little bit regularly is much, much better than practicing a lot just sometimes. Think about learning to play a musical instrument or learning a sport. If you practice for a few minutes every day, you will improve much faster than if you practice for many hours only once a month. It's the same with speaking English. Those small daily efforts add up over time in a powerful way that big, infrequent efforts don't. When you combine start small and practice every day, you get the most important ingredient, consistency. Consistency means you do it again and again, regularly. It becomes a part of your day, like drinking water or eating. Why is this key? Because consistency helps you build confidence, slowly, without pressure. It helps your brain start thinking in English naturally, bit by bit. Each small time you speak, you make your speaking muscles stronger, and your brain gets more used to forming English sentences quickly. Even just 5 minutes of speaking practice each day is incredibly valuable because you are doing it consistently. Over days, weeks, and months, those minutes create a strong habit and significant progress. Let's think about a simple example of how you can start small and practice every day in your own life. Imagine your day. When you wake up, maybe you say to yourself, "Good morning. What will I do today?" While you make coffee, you could say, "I am making coffee. It smells good." When you leave your home, maybe you describe the weather. "It is warm outside." While you are waiting for a bus, you could look at the people or things around you and quietly describe them. "That is a red car," or "Many people are waiting." Before you go to sleep, you could think about your day for 1 minute and say aloud just 2 or 3 simple sentences about it, like, "Today was busy. I talked to my friend." These are all very small moments. They don't take a lot of time or require complex English. But doing these simple things every single day, that is powerful.
It helps you get comfortable hearing your own voice speaking English. It helps you remember and use simple vocabulary and grammar structures. It takes away the fear because you are not performing, you are just practicing. Remember, the goal here is practice, not perfection. It's okay if you use the wrong word or your sentence isn't perfect. The important thing is that you are using the language actively. Each small step, every single day, is a step forward. Consistency is the secret ingredient that will help you move from understanding English to speaking it with more ease and confidence over time. Just start, keep going, and watch how those small, daily efforts make a big difference.
Chapter 9. You can do it. Keep practicing. Okay, so maybe you understand a lot of English. You can read it, listen to it, watch movies, but when it's time to actually speak, you freeze up? Or maybe the words don't come out right? If that sounds like you, you are absolutely not alone. This is a really common feeling for many English learners. You've built this wonderful foundation of understanding, but the speaking part feels like a completely different challenge. But here's the really important thing to remember. You already understand English. That is a fantastic foundation. Think about it. You have the building blocks. You know grammar rules, you know vocabulary, you understand how sentences are put together. The understanding is there, inside your head. Speaking is just the next step. It's putting that understanding into action. And the great news is, you absolutely can learn to speak English well. It might feel difficult now, maybe even a little scary, but it is a skill you can develop, just like any other skill. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You can watch videos about it, read instructions, understand how the pedals and handlebars work. That's like understanding English. But you can't actually ride the bike until you get on it and start practicing. You'll probably fall a few times, wobble a lot, but with practice, your body learns what to do, and you get better and better. Speaking English is very similar. You need to practice doing it. Your brain and your mouth need to work together to find the words, put them in the right order, and say them out loud. It's a different kind of muscle you need to train compared to just listening or reading. Understanding is a bit passive. Speaking is very active. So, how do you start training this speaking muscle? The most important thing is simply to start. Don't wait until you feel ready or until you think you know enough words. You will feel more ready by practicing. Even small steps are important. Maybe you can start by just speaking to yourself. Yes, really. Describe what you are doing right now in English. For example, I am sitting in my chair. I am watching a video. The weather is cloudy today. It might feel strange at first, but it helps you think in English and get used to forming sentences. Another simple way to start practicing is to read aloud. Find a simple English text, maybe a short article, a story you like, or even just a few sentences, and read it using your voice. Don't worry if your pronunciation isn't perfect. The goal is to get used to making the sounds and saying the words. You can also try describing pictures. Look at a photo and just say aloud in English what you see. There is a cat. The cat is black and white. It is sleeping on a chair. Simple sentences are perfectly fine to begin with. If you feel a little more confident, you can try to find opportunities to speak with other people. This could be a language exchange partner you find online, or maybe a friend who is also learning English. You don't need to have long, complicated conversations. Even just talking for 5 or 10 minutes about your day or your hobbies is great practice. Remember, the other person is probably learning too, so they understand the challenges. There are also many online groups and communities where you can practice speaking with others. Maybe you're afraid of making mistakes. This is a really common fear, and it stops many people from speaking. But everyone makes mistakes when they are learning something new. Mistakes are not a sign that you are failing. They are a sign that you are trying. And mistakes actually help you learn. When you make a mistake and someone corrects you, or you realize it yourself, you are less likely to make that same mistake again. Try to think of mistakes as little lessons. Don't worry about being perfect. Focus on getting your message across. Most people who speak English, including native speakers, understand that learning takes time and effort, and they will appreciate you trying. Be brave.
The main message for you right now is simple and strong. You understand English, and you can learn to speak it well too. The key is consistent practice. You have the understanding, now you need to build the skill of speaking. So, this chapter is a big encouragement to you. Start practicing today. Don't wait. Pick one simple thing you can do. Talk to yourself for 2 minutes, read one paragraph aloud, or describe a picture. And let's set a small, achievable goal for this week. Try to speak English at least once this week. It could be something very small. Maybe you have a chance to say hello and ask how are you to someone. Maybe you practice introducing yourself aloud. Maybe you just talk to your reflection in the mirror for 1 minute. Any speaking counts. We would love to hear about your plans. How will you practice speaking this week? Or maybe you already have a method that helps you. Please tell us in the comments below. Sharing your ideas can help other learners who are facing the same challenge. Let's build a community where we support each other in practicing our speaking. Remember, every little bit of practice makes a difference. You can do it. Just keep practicing.